Welcome. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Carson City Regional Transportation Commission. Today is Wednesday, July 12th. It is 4:30. We're in the Community Center Sierra Room at 851 East William Street, Carson City, Nevada. Item number 1 on the agenda is a roll call tomorrow.
Chairperson Bunkowski.
Here.
Vice Chair Smolensky.
Here.
Commissioner Bagwell.
Here.
Commissioner Kimbrough.
Here.
Commissioner Zenteno. A quorum's present.
Thank you. Item 2 on the agenda is the agenda management notice. The chair may take items on the agenda out of order, combine 2 or more agenda items for consideration, and/or remove an item from the agenda or delay discussion relating to an item on the agenda at any time. Agenda item 3 is disclosures. If any member of the RTC board has any intent to make a disclosure of a conflict of interest on any item, you can do so now, or you can do so before the specific agenda item is introduced. At this time, we'll go to public comment, initial public comment. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to address the RTC, you may approach the podium now and speak on any matter relevant to or within the authority of the RTC. And I see nobody walking up. So we will close public comment, and we are now on agenda item number 5, approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 14th, 2017.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Passes. We are now on the public meeting items. Item 6A for possible action to determine that Sierra Nevada Construction, Inc. is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder pursuant to NRS Chapter 338, and to award contract number 1617-151 Carson City Pavement Preservation Slurry Project for a base bid of $153,007 plus a 10% contingency amount of up to $15,300.70 for a total not to exceed amount of $168,307.70 to be funded from the RTC account as provided in the fiscal year 18 budget. Dirk?
Thank you. So this is for a construction contract, and this is for the 2017 capital project for the slurry seals. It includes Airport from College to 50. It includes Stewart Street from William to Carson Street, and it includes William from Carson Street to Minnesota. It should be noted that Sierra Nevada Construction was the lowest bidder. There was some differences in the cost estimate, but rest assured that all the construction will meet the standards of the city, and those details are laid out in the contract in which all the bidders bid on. So it is pretty straightforward. We've had Sierra Nevada Construction done a lot of work for us in the past, and so there's no concern from that end. But that's all I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commissioners? Go ahead, Jim.
In looking through the bid proposal and all that, and the bidder information, you know, it lists the company name, the contact person, and then under licensing information, contractor's license, first one issued 7/5 of 1988, and date of expiration is 7/31/17. So I just have a question. Do you keep an eye, if the contract doesn't start or they don't start work until August 1st, do you make sure that his license is valid?
Yes, the project manager or our construction manager do verify that all contractors are licensed and throughout the process.
Okay. Thank you.
That is a condition in the actual contract itself too. Any additional questions from the commissioners? All right, seeing none, I'll open this up to public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to comment to this agenda item? I see nobody walking forward, so I'll bring this back to the commission and entertain a motion.
I move to determine Sierra Nevada Construction, Inc. is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder pursuant to NRS Chapter 338, and to award contract number 1617-151 Carson City Pavement Preservation Slurry Project for a base bid of $153,007 plus a contingency amount of up to $15,300 $168.70 for a total not to exceed amount of $168,307.70 to be funded from the RTC account as provided in the fiscal year 18 budget.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. We're now on to item 6B on the agenda for possible action to direct staff to allocate Carson City's 2018 share of surface transportation block grant funds to the South Carson Street Complete Streets project. And Dirk, you're taking this one as well.
Yep, thank you. So as you all know, back in beginning of 2017, CAMPO received a set aside from NDOT for surface transportation block grants. So Carson City does have funds allocated, and it's kind of set out in a distribution over 4 years. And so we wanted to kind of get formal direction from the RTC on the 2018 allocation. And staff's recommendation is for the South Carson Street Complete Streets project, which we presented last month in a conceptual design. So that's staff's request. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So if I remember correctly, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I believe that Carson City gets all of the 2017 and 2020 allocations. Douglas County and Lyon County get the majority of the 2018 and 2019 allocations, and we get a portion.
That's correct.
So what we're talking about on this item is dedicating the portion of the total funding for that year that Carson City is to receive towards the South Carson Complete Streets project.
Yes, that's correct, and it's about $372,000 for 2018.
Great.
Can I just clarify, because I want to make sure we're all on the same page, because I thought that the agenda was also indicating the additional for 2019 or 2020 that's listed here could be handled through the budgeting process. I need to be very clear.
This item was specific to the 2018, and I just laid out all the funding for service transportation block grants, so you could see how much additional funding we're going to be getting over the next 4 years.
But you're not recommending that the 2019 and the 2020 funding to be able to complete the cost that was projected?
We're not asking for it at this time. We're still in the middle of design, and so we don't want to allocate too much to it at this time. We could come back in the future and allocate that additional funding if we need to.
Okay, I just again want this agenda item to be very clear to the public. So at this time, all you're asking is that we allocate the $372,372 that's in the 2018 budget, is all you're asking for an allocation. What do we do with the $1,023,000 that's listed as the FY17 dollars?
That funding is set aside for Carson City, and it's just not allocated to a project yet. And we don't have access to that funding yet. We won't get that until 2020, so we just thought it was...
The 17 money.
The 2017 money.
Oh, the 2017. So that was money, for that money, we already allocated that money towards Airport Road, mill and overlay, and then Silver Sage reconstruction. So we're in the process of spending 2017 money, and now we're just looking for 2018. I'm sorry.
Okay. Again, I just for clear discussion and that everyone in the public's understanding what we're doing. Okay, so just the 2018 allocation at this time, but you could come back and ask for 19 or 20, because the project will be a multi-year process or several?
Yes, Darren Schultz for the record, multi-year project. We just have to see how these funds and the strings attached to these funds match up with our schedule and the funding of the project, and it's just too preliminary to ask for 2019 at this point.
Any additional questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, I'll open this up to public comment. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak to this item? Seeing nobody approaching the podium, we will bring this back to the commission, and I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. I move to direct staff to allocate Carson City's 2018 share of the surface transportation block grant funds to the South Carson Street Complete Streets project.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second from Commissioner Bagwell. Is there any discussion?
Just on discussion.
Sure. Go ahead.
So just in the discussion, you will then have to potentially scale the design to meet the funding that's available? So that we're allocating this, we'll definitely get a project. Right? Because the design that we.
There's multiple funding sources, including the 5.1 million from NDOT and other funding sources that are going into this project. This is just additional funds.
But the project itself will be scaled to the actual dollar amounts available.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional discussion? No. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Passes unanimously. We are on item 6C, information only item, an update on a contract with the state of Nevada acting by and through its Department of Healthcare Financing and Policy pertaining to partial reimbursement of transportation services for eligible Medicaid recipients. And Graham, you have this one?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As a recap to progress made to date, the RTC has a contract with Department of Healthcare Financing and Policy for the provision of partial reimbursement for Medicaid eligible trips on Jack Assist service. They work through a third-party broker who kind of administers the program. They're tasked with finding the most cost-effective transportation resource for folks in need of transportation, and they kind of administer it. And as of July 1st, 2016, DHCFP entered into a new agreement with a different third-party broker. And then at the end of the calendar year 2016, they were to renew the agreement with RTC. With some problems that we had with the previous transportation broker, we were a little cautious of this new one coming in. So we initially asked for a 90-day extension. We took it to RTC, got the 90-day extension with the request to allow the transportation manager to sign the longer-term extension if needed. And so after receiving the first quarter's reimbursement of fiscal year 2017, it was determined that a long-term agreement with DHCFP would be beneficial and the transportation manager has since executed that. And then since then, two additional reimbursement requests have been verified by and submitted to DHCFP, and are projected to be two of the highest in the program's history. Average reimbursement over the life of the program is about $6 per trip, compared to the $2 per trip that is standard for if someone was just paying out of their own pocket. So, with that, I'll take any questions.
Are there any questions from the commissioners?
Can you just tell us what was the last invoice? Not the per trip, how much, how many riders or?
Sure. So it hasn't actually received final approval yet. They did their initial verification, and we did a submittal today, actually. And it was about, the quarter two was about 8,500 would be the net benefit to us. And quarter three was about 13,000. Whereas in the past, we've had, I'll just go down the list from the past couple years, 6,400, 5,600, 5,200, 3,700, 6,700, 3,800, 3,700. So it's a significant increase over what we had been doing.
So it could be either more people are utilizing the service because they know it's there, so they're higher, or we got higher reimbursement rate.
Well, the way we're looking at it, and I think that the numbers will show, it's more of a this new third-party broker we're able to verify more trips with them, because previously what had happened was a lot of trips that we were actually providing were not being verified by the third-party broker, so therefore DHCFP could not reimburse us for those trips. So we have a higher percentage now of trips that are being verified. But we do have additional riders as well.
Additional questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, I'll open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment on this item? I see none. This was an information-only item, so we are now on to item 7 on the agenda, internal communications and administrative matters. Non-action items. First up is 7A, Street Operations Activity Report. Who would like to take this? Dirk? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So our crews have been working very hard, doing a lot of good work on crack sealing and patching, getting things ready for the slurry seals and the micro seals. Two things worth noting is we did add 2 stop signs to the network, one at Bennett and Conte, and then another one at North Ormsby and Oakdale. And those were results of stop sign warrants that we received. But besides that, kind of business as usual. So that's all I have for this item.
So can you explain, somebody gave me a complaint concerning a new stop sign, right, that you put in at Conte?
Yes, and
So what do you mean? They indicated there's been no accidents, so what warranted the stop sign?
it had to do with the site distance. So whenever we get a complaint, we go out to the site, we look at it, and then since there's liability with it, our default is typically to do a stop sign warrant. So we had a traffic engineer, our consultant, so a third party, they went out there and they measured the site distance, and it did not meet the site distance, and so it met the warrant, and so that's why they recommended a stop sign.
So Dirk, are you saying that there were complaints filed about that intersection?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Any additional questions? Nope. Okay. Then 7B, project status report.
I'll take this one. So our Blue Line ADA sidewalk work is substantially complete. We're going through punch list items. Carson City Freeway multi-use path, we have 100% design. We are looking at bringing a construction contract to the RTC in September, so that's exciting. Sierra Vista Lane is moving along. We're working on final details for a trailhead design. There's two trailheads.
Can you give us an update too on, I saw in here that you've put the final letter in for approval from BIA. Can you give us an update on that as well?
We submitted our application to BIA. And so there's 2 items that the office here in Carson City needs before they process it farther to the Phoenix office. One of them had to do with kind of an environmental issue. We were moving forward with a categorically excluded type project, and for a little bit they thought that it might not be the case, and so we had to work with them and kind of convince them and explain to them why it is, and so they agreed and they accept our environmental study, and now we're working on a compensation matter. Just compensation needs to be provided, and so what happened was early in the process we sent out letters to all the allotment owners, and the allotment owners could send something back. One of them sent a letter back to the BIA in Carson City explaining that they wanted just compensation. So this was news to us. That's what we were told, was that as long as you don't have 14 or 10% of the total allotment number denying the project, then the field office here would be okay and would recommend approval and all that good stuff. But what we didn't know, and what we were told recently, was since one person asked for just compensation, we needed to get a cost estimate on that portion of the roadway, and which we're moving forward with, and we need to make sure that that appraisal meets all the BIA standards, and then from there we'll move forward. But that just compensation is going to be based on the value of that roadway, and it's going to be based on the percentage of what that allotment owner owns of the parcel. So truthfully, I don't expect the reimbursement to be more than the cost to do the appraisal. But it's one of those things that we have to do for BIA as part of the right-of-way process.
So is it reasonable to assume that once the other allotment owners understand that they can get money out of this, that they're also going to come forward and ask for it, or have they already signed off on their rights for just compensation?
We've had a few letters that have signed off on it. We had a few folks that did not respond, but that's a question that I can definitely raise and find out, just so we know moving forward. The real estate specialist that we're working with in BIA did not, that didn't come up, but that's a great question, and I'll follow up on that.
Yeah, where I'm going with that is it'd be nice if we had a good understanding of how much time this may take to move through this process, and if that's going to set the project back by weeks or months.
Okay.
So if you could follow up on that and then give us a report next month.
Thank you.
Okay. And then if you want to continue with your report.
So Silver Sage, we got our notice to proceed for design. Construction is anticipated for early 2018. Microsolar projects are out to bid, so that's exciting, and we hope to bring a contract to the RTC in August. So there's about 6 projects. We're just going to go through and show you a little location. We got quotes for patching on Edmonds. We're getting quotes for patching because we want to do the patching that's north of Kuntz before you put down the micro seal. For 5th Street, we got quotes back for our ADA, and they were in line with our estimates, which is good. For the micro seal on Kuntz Lane, we have ADA work in progress, so you might see some work being done by Kuntz and Silver Sage. West College Parkway, we got our crack sealing all done, and there's some patch work that we need to do, so we're going to be working on that soon. For Airport Road is all crack sealed and it's ready to go once we get the contractor on board. Stewart Street, again, crack sealing is all done and that's ready to move forward. William Street, we're finishing up the crack sealing this week, so that should be ready. The long line striping started Monday and should last about 3 to 4 weeks, and it takes place at night. Our CDBG grant for North Carson Street, we are in the process of designing it and kind of just starting that process. Battery backup, we expect next month to start installation.
Would have been nice to have that this last week because we had a lot of lights out on William Street.
Yes, yes. So soon. South Carson Street bicycle and pedestrian improvements, that's with the TAP funding. And we hired Loomis to do the surveying, and that should allow us to start detailed design in October. So that's exciting. And then the shared use path down to Colorado Street, we're working on an agreement with NDOT to get our notice to proceed for design. So that concludes my comments. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on any of these items? All right, seeing none, how about future agenda items?
Well, we have the contracts coming for the micro seal, hopefully, and we have some CAMPO items coming. We have the Transportation Improvement Program, and we also have a presentation from NDOT on safety. Right now, that's all we have for RTC.
Darren?
Hopefully, we'll be introducing a new transportation manager at the next meeting. I also wanted to put on the record, it's not for an agenda, I missed opening public comment, and hopefully our DA will excuse me, but we have our open house, Public Works open house this Saturday over at the corporate yard from 10 to 2, inviting the public to stop by.
Thank you. Any members of the commission that have comments for us at this time? Lori? No? All right, final public comment. Darren jumped again, but we'll get those comments in there. Anybody from the public that would like to come up and speak to any item? Last chance. Seeing none, The next meeting is tentatively scheduled for 4:30 PM Wednesday, August 9th, 2017 at the Sierra Room, right here in this room, starting with CAMPO and then moving right into RTC. If there's no further business, then we are adjourned. Thank you all for being here tonight.